horror, kaiju, Dragon Ball, and more. Steven's Toy Reviews.
Hey there, collectors, it's Steven here, and I'm back with a 112 collective review that's going to be Mezco's lineup, and I am pleased to bring you, in the year of his 100th birthday, a review of the Silent Screamers Nosferatu. That's right, we have the iconic Count Orlok, I'm just going to call him Nosferatu throughout, because that's the name of the figure, in action figure format, and it's going to be in the Premier 112 collective lineup. When this figure was released, it was pretty much just hinted at in obscurity the day before, and then dropped, and pretty much instantly sold out. Now goes for nearly $300 on the aftermarket. We're going to talk about exactly why. There are some folks who are considering picking this one up, and you got some options on the market now with a repaint on the market, but is the OG worth having, or maybe you should wait for competition on the market before you should get it? Well, let's take a look to see whether or not it's going to be worth adding into your collection, and let me tell you folks, even if you don't like soft goods, this is definitely going to be one to consider. So, starting with looks, what can I say about the Count here, Nosferatu? Well, you know, Silent Screamers, that right off the bat gives us the impression that there's going to be something in black and white. However, for Nosferatu here, it's going to be all in color. Now, I'm not all that well versed on my Nosferatu lore in regards to, let's say, screen accurate things. Like, for an example, Godzilla 1954, yes, black and white in the movie, original suit was about brown. So I'm not sure what the different props and what the different clothing was like in the movie for Nosferatu. However, for here, I think this is a very nice rendition of the character, and I think it captures the overall spirit of Nosferatu exceedingly well, even insofar as not just grabbing one buck that they have and just putting a vampire head and creepy hands on it and, you know, a nice fashionable coat and tights. No. Mezco actually did a very rock solid job sculpting out new arms for this guy, and I would assume that they did a little something special for the legs as well, because it kind of feels like there's a sculpt underneath there. It kind of feels a little bit veiny to me. I could be wrong. But otherwise, Nosferatu looks really good. Those eyes, they're very much so sunken in, and they're dead. Now, when you think about Nosferatu, most particularly from SpongeBob, am I right? You think of those little beady eyes that can sort of pierce through your soul. But here, they're blacked out. And honestly, that is going to be just as creepy, and I think it looks great. Now, for his coat, his cloak, whatever you'd prefer to call that, as we get on down to the bottom, it is a bit frayed, and that is exactly the effect that they were going for. So it's not a quality control issue. I got to be honest with you here, folks, it does look really cool. They also added what appears to maybe be paint of some sort to give it that extra edge. It also feels a little crispy. It feels a little stiff, so that's pretty cool to see. Of note, those little clasps that are going down the front of the coat, those are actually plastic. They're not fabric of any kind, so just something to keep in mind. So overall, in terms of looks, Nosferatu is killer with all of the veins, uniquely sculpted vampire parts, and the paint application, which really sends this home. For articulation, Nosferatu actually is pretty solid, and actually he kind of has something going on with him that I've seen affectionately referred to as stanky foot. Huh? Okay, so head plugs in on a ball joint, which is really cool. As you can see there, it's going to be a double axis or barbell style ball joint. Head plugs into the neck like that. It's real easy, so we can get him to look from left to right, up and down. He can look up about that far unassisted with any other joint, and down, well, he's got a kind of a long chin, so yeah, that's a pretty good range there, I would say. Now, for shoulders, this is somewhat interesting in a way. We do have swivels that allow you to spin the arm around. However, do take note, because of the soft goods, you're not really going to be able to spin the arms super duper fly all the way around, just because you don't want to pop any stitches. You don't want to pop any seams. So just be careful with that. You can pull the sleeves up, so this way you can get a little bit more movement, but still, I would just be careful. As you saw, we can get him into a pseudo T pose, not quite a perfect T, thanks to some hinges in the shoulders as well. Now we are going to have single. Now this is interesting. Single elbow hinge, as you can see there. Now look at that range of movement though. That's really good. This is where we can see that sometimes single elbow hinges work wonders, and there are no issues there. Now, you notice I said there's no bicep swivel, but there is a swivel where the elbow plugs into the bicep, so that's going to be really good for that elbow hinge. For the wrists, we have swivels where they plug into the forearm, as you can see there, hinges so the hands can move forward and back, and then the hands plug in on swivels. So we can see that the hands have fantastic range of movement, basically pretty much industry standard at this price point. We do have an ab crunch, but once again, do keep in mind the soft goods. You don't want to pop or tear anything, and you can lean about that far back, that far forward, and twist and turn and spin realistically all the way around. Do we have, whoa, a waist joint? Kind of feels like it. Kind of feels like we have an ab crunch and a waist joint going on. At least that's what it feels like. But range of movement is just going to extend a little bit. For the hips, it kind of feels like we maybe just have swivel hinges or ball joints. Kick about that far forward and back. Again, keep in mind the seams. And then kicking out to the sides, we are about that far, as you can see. We do have thigh swivel, so we can spin the legs from side to side. And knee hinges, we do have double hinges, though do keep in mind you may get his tights, if you will, caught in that hinge, so just be careful there. Here's where we get the stanky foot. For the ankles, they are going to be on ball joints, and you can see they can move about that far forward and back. They can spin around, and we get a little bit of ankle rocker movement. Now, I think it was this one on mine was completely frozen in place, like it didn't move. And, well, the tips for loosening up joints and getting access to them, those are going to be, you can use a lubricant like silicone shock oil. Well, I'm not getting it in there because of the soft goods. And heat. Well, I could use a blow dryer and burn this thing up. Not good. Or water and potentially damage this. So what do? Well, in this situation, one thing that you can do is this guy fits into a Ziploc bag. Yeah, one of the smaller like sandwich ones. So you just kind of throw them in there, zip it up, nice, really hot tap water, and then I put them in a mixing bowl. Let them sit for, I think it was about 3 or 4 minutes, and then he got warm just like you would any other figure. And I was able to crack that foot, and it moves just fine now, so no issues there. So overall, for Nosferatu, not all of the range of movement that you may expect from other figures in this price point, specifically import figures, but realistically speaking, you can get them into any pose you want, maybe just better ankle movement. That would be really appreciated. But otherwise, yeah, Nosferatu is really good. Okie doke. Let's talk about those accessories. And honestly, this bundle, yeah, we got a little bit to talk about, was probably one of my favorites of 2020. What do we have? Well, we are going to get some alternate head parts, which are going to include a different expression for the teeth. And we're going to get some alternate hand parts. We're going to get 6 ratties. Aw, we're going to get a key ring. We're going to go ahead and get a lantern, a hat, a coffin, which is probably my most favorite accessory that I have in my lineup. Obviously, we're going to get the display stand and a support arm for Nosferatu. There's also going to be something else that I'm not talked about yet. We're going to save it for the end of this section. All right, so to start out, let's go ahead and take an up close and personal look at everything. Up close and personal. So those alternate head sculpts, what do we have? Well, collectively, we're going to have 2 calm faces for Nosferatu. One where the teeth are sticking out, the other where the teeth are not so cool. The other one is going to be sort of a hissing face, I like to think. This reminds me of my cats whenever I make them mad. Yeah. All right, so Nosferatu is going to come with a hat as well, and that is going to work with the 3 different head sculpts that we get with Nosferatu, which is going to be really cool. We are going to get a key ring, which isn't really good for anything except for him to hold. And to be honest, with the hands, we'll talk about those in a second, it's not really that effective. We are going to get the lantern as well. And for the lantern, the actual handle, it doesn't really like to stay up. It kind of likes to just flop over to the side. So when you get Nosferatu to hold this, it's pretty cool. But another issue with that is that it hooks onto the lantern and that handle likes to pop off. So it's just something to keep in mind. Now we're going to get 6 rats, and they are actually all in different poses. We have 2 of them which are really close to the ground. So These are in comfy mode for you rat lovers out there. Then we have 2 of them that are kind of in sort of shocked or spooked mode where their backs are arched. We're going to have another one that's kind of curved like a little noodle. And then we have one excited little baby who is perching up almost like he's got his attention somewhere and he really wants to be picked up or something, which, by the way, rats make, I'm going to say it, fucking amazing pets. If you've ever considered a pet and you think, I want something that's going to be like a small dog, but I don't want a dog, get a rat. They're awesome. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's look at that coffin, which this coffin is awesome. There are a whole bunch of rats and dirt on the inside, so this is really cool to see all of that really, really nice detail. And the wood effect for the coffin is done rather well as well. Yeah. It looks fantastic. It actually has sort of a janky look to it as well when you look at the binding area where the different parts of the coffin come together. And that's not a quality control issue. It's just an old-timey coffin that was probably older than old. So it's really cool to see that Mezco went the extra mile in this regard to make it look old. However, the lid is only good when you have it on top. Otherwise, it's off. And I mean like completely off. There's no hinge. There's no magnetic attachment that you can sort of open and close it. It's either on the coffin or off. Yeah. All right. So we do have the support stand as well, which has Nosferatu 1922 silent screamers. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some action shots with these different accessories. Now, of quick note, Nosferatu is also going to come with 2 extra hand parts. Left and right hand parts that are significantly more splayed out, like he's going to slash at something, and he's going to come with a left accessory holding hand part. This will be for your lantern or your keys, and a right one where his finger is sort of tapping on something. I guess you could turn this so this way palm is up and he's holding the keys like that, or maybe he's holding the lantern on his one finger. But honestly, why didn't we get left and right holding parts? I don't know. All right, so in sum, for the accessories for Nosferatu, I think that for what we get here for the price, yeah, the coffin is really big, but I feel like maybe there could have been something else added in here. Maybe we could have gotten another head sculpt of some kind. Maybe we could have gotten one with a more so traditional appearance of Nosferatu, i.e. the beady eyes, but I don't know. It's $112 at MSRP, at least from Mezco's site, so clearly all of the money was invested in this figure correctly, right? So Mezco from time to time does this thing where they get you with a bundle. Yep. They bundle an action figure together with some stuff you may or may not want, and Nosferatu came in a bundle. Yeah. So he came with a shirt, which actually this shirt is really cool. I'm still wearing it, and there's really no fading or chipping on the print. So despite the fact that some folks don't really like the bundle, and it was heavily criticized, this shirt is actually really nice quality, and it's cool to wear this to horror conventions or with your buddies and you're watching spooky movies. So that's pretty cool. They also did a really cool stop motion, and they included a film cell from the stop motion, which admittedly is neat, but this is going to be really for the diehard Mezco fans. So if you're not one of them, cool. Nosferatu also comes in a lunchbox. Cool. It's better than the alternative shoebox that the repaint came in. We'll take a look at that in its own review. So $112. They lightened up on the accessories for Nosferatu, and they included this bundle, which, by the way, there was a Mezit that was included, but honestly, it's so small. I mean, you know it's there. It's a Mezco exclusive. So is it worth the price at MSRP for all the accessories? Yes, but honestly, let's go ahead and get rid of the bundle stuff. Give me more accessories. That's what I want. If you need some advice on other accessories or support stands, you know I got videos to help you out. Now let's go ahead and take a look at a size comparison. And just to make my work easier, I went and put both of the Nosferatu figures together, so this way you can see how big they are together with other figures you just might have in your collection. And as like I said at the top, if you are not a fan of cloth figures, then this still may be something to keep your eye on, because these both kind of blend in well with NECA figures, particularly their Ultimate stuff. So yeah, keep that in mind. And you know what? Since I'm getting the reviews done at the same time and both of the figures are on the market right now, both are pretty much in the same ballpark for price in the aftermarket. Here's going to be a side-by-side comparison with the Symphony of Horror repaint Nosferatu. Well, he'll have his own separate review up. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Like I said at the top, this drop was basically a slight teaser followed by a complete blowout that dropped and pretty much sold out. I think it was like in an hour and a half. So not a lot of time to prepare for this. And considering the hefty price tag of $112 plus shipping and handling, oomph. Yeah. So if you didn't get it initially at that big price point, then you're looking at $300 in the aftermarket. And you have to pay for a bundle in order to get it. The figure in and of itself, which is what the review is for, is rather nice, and honestly, it's probably one of my most favorite horror figures. But all things considered, on the aftermarket, it is significantly overpriced. This is a Mezco exclusive, so chances of a reissue right off the bat are not very good, and considering it's an exclusive, yeah, the only hope is going to be a repaint, which had its own cluster of a release, so rest in peace. Overall, though, if you are a fan of vampires and you really need a Nosferatu, do you want to wait for a NECA? Maybe, but if you get this, don't worry, it's really good.
Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now, you've heard a lot from me. I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for STR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.